would be plenty for, say, a family of 4 if you wanted to put up some stewed tomatoes, maybe some pasta sauce, maybe even some salsa. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having an awesome day. It is Sunday, July 16th here in South Georgia, and our Determinate tomatoes over here are in the bottom of the 9th. It doesn't look like there's going to be any free baseball. So today we're going to call it quits on those. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to take down this Florida weave trellis, get rid of those tomato plants, and after that we're going to see if we can find a nice ripe watermelon to snack on. So a couple videos ago, we got our biggest harvest of the year so far from these 2 rows of Determinate tomatoes. I think we harvested close to 4 5-gallon buckets from these 2 30-foot rows here, but I also told you when we did that that was probably going to be the last good harvest we were going to get. So earlier today, I went through there and salvaged what I could from those plants. We got about 1.5 buckets there. Some decent ones, some that are ripe, some that still need to turn, and some green ones that we may fry up. I also got a bucket of bad ones over here that we can feed to the chickens or the worms. Now, one thing I like to do, if I can, is to try to give you all an idea of how much you need to grow, how many plants you need to plant to, say, get X amount of jars of tomatoes put up. So we had 2 30-foot rows of Determinate tomatoes here on a 2-foot spacing. That means we had 15 plants per row, or 30 plants total. And for each of those rows, we probably harvested a little more than 5 5-gallon buckets throughout this little short Determinate tomato season that we have. Now, we only used about 4.5 of those 5-gallon buckets, and we gave away the rest. So we were able to put 20 or more jars of stewed tomatoes in the pantry, and then we ate a lot of them fresh on sandwiches, making okra and tomatoes, things like that. So judging by what we got, I think 1 30-foot row of Determinate tomatoes, either of these varieties, the Red Snapper or the Roadster, would be plenty for, say, a family of 4 if you wanted to put up some stewed tomatoes, maybe some pasta sauce, maybe even some salsa. That 1 30-foot row with 15 plants should give you plenty of tomatoes to do what you need to do. So when we can tomatoes, we like to pick one day to do it, where we've got a bunch of tomatoes ready to can, do it all in one day and be done with it. That way we don't have to get our canning supplies back out every week and do a bunch of small batches to get enough for us. So for us, since we have the space, we like to plant way more tomato plants than we're going to need. That way we can do all our canning in one day. We can give away the rest. It's always fun to share, but do what works for you. If you don't mind doing a bunch of small batch canning, you might not need that many tomato plants to eventually put up as many jars as you want to put up. And now, before we take these down, let's real quick talk about what signs we're looking for to tell us it's time to throw in the towel. So number 1, when your harvest start to dwindle, it's time to throw in the towel. Number 2, when your plants start looking like those are, it's time to throw in the towel. Number 3, when you reach in there to grab a tomato and you get kamikazed in the head by a couple leaf-footed bugs like I did earlier, it's time to throw in the towel. So now let me show you just how easy it is to take all this down. So step 1, we're going to need some loppers, and we just want to cut each of these tomato plants right at the soil level there. You can pull them up if you want to, shake the dirt off of them, but I've found it's way easier just to cut them with some loppers. Once we've cut all those plants with the loppers, they'll still be upright because this Florida weave trellis is holding them up straight. Now we need to start disconnecting the string. Take your sharp knife, just kind of run down these posts here. Now the plants will start to fall a little bit. Then we go to our second post here, same thing. We just want to cut this string all the way down. Now if you were using cotton string or some other biodegradable string, you just take this right here, start rolling it all up, go throw it in the trash or the burn pile. We use this poly string because it doesn't stretch, seems to hold the plants up a little bit better. So now that I've got it cut by each post, it's real easy just to grab my string, pull it out of there. I'll put all this in this little bucket here, that way we can throw it away. Now that we've got our string up, we just need to take these plants, throw them in the back of the buggy over there, haul them to the burn pile. And now that those plants are gone, last thing we need to do is just take our old handy dandy T-post puller here, Get those puppies out of the ground. And boom, we're done with that row. Only takes about 5 minutes if you got all your tools with you. Now obviously there are more than one way to skin the proverbial cat. You can be a tough guy if you want to and pull those T-posts out of the ground by hand, but I promise you, it doesn't get much quicker and easier than what we just did. All right, now let's see if we can find this little snack here out here in the watermelon patch. It's looking pretty good out here. Got some nice sized watermelons sprinkled amongst this plot. All the foliage is filling in pretty nicely. Still a little ways to go on that end with those giant watermelons that I planted later than the rest of them. But happy with how it's looking so far, especially considering how late we planted this patch. Now, if you've ever grown a decent amount of watermelons, you know once the plants start vining like these are, it's kind of hard to keep the weeds under control. So I've been coming out here about every other day between 8 and 9 once it cools down and playing a little game. That game is called That's Not a Watermelon Plant. Let me show you how it goes. So you come out here about 30 minutes or an hour before it gets dark. You stand along the perimeter of the plot, kind of scan around with your eyes, looking really close, and you run across something that doesn't look quite familiar and you say, that's not a watermelon plant. And you reach down there and you get it out of there. So that's what we've been doing to keep the weeds somewhat manageable in this patch. I try not to walk around in the middle out there unless I'm already out there seeing if a particular watermelon is ripe yet. Now let's see if we can find some that are ripe. So I don't think that one right there is ripe. That one still has a little ways to go. There's one right there, about the size of a softball. I think these varieties are supposed to get a little bit bigger than that. Let's go on over here, see if we can find one that's bigger and closer. Now the size on this one here looks pretty good, but we got to look at that tendril. So what we want to do is look at where the watermelon connects to the plant right there, and there's this little tendril. I don't know if it's shaded out, if you can see it. This little curly piece right there, and we want to wait till that dries up completely. This one here is only about 1/4 of the way dry, so we definitely don't need to pick that one today. And as I walk around more out there and look at all these fruits we have, I don't really see any completely dry tendrils. But lucky for y'all, or lucky for me I guess, I did find 2 yesterday where the tendril was completely dried. So I went ahead and pulled those. I have found with these seedless watermelons that they do taste a little bit better if you let the tendril dry, pick them, and then let them sit for a day or two. These have only been sitting for 1 day. I always get nervous when I'm doing this because I know I'm just going to open up a watermelon that's not ripe. But I've got 2 over here on the buggy. Let's see what we've got. So these are the 2 I picked yesterday. Hopefully they're ripe. If they're not, I've got 2 white feathered friends that will surely take care of them for me. I don't know which varieties these are. I'm thinking this is 2 different varieties here. We've got a yellow seedless out there called Tropical Sunshine. We've got a yellow seeded called Treasure Chest, and we've got a red seedless called Cracker Jack. I need to go on Johnny's website and see what they look like, but right now it's just going to be a surprise. We're just going to see what we get here. Let's open this one up. Hopefully it'll pop a little bit. It's always a good sign if it does. Oh, look at the color on that one. So that one is definitely the Tropical Sunshine yellow seedless. Let's open this one up. So I just snuck a bite of that one when y'all weren't looking. It was mighty tasty, but we'll evaluate it further in just a minute. Oh yeah, this one's popping open good. I think we're gonna have something good here too. Let's see which one this is. I had to drop it. Well, there we go. Okay, so that's our pollinator right there. That's our treasure chest, the seeded variety that is the pollinator for the seedless variety. Both of them look really good. All right, so let's start by digging into this seedless unit here a little further. I know the sun's kind of blowing out the footage a little bit. You might not can tell just how pretty this is, but it is as canary yellow as it could be. And just as sweet as it could be. Only thing that would make that one right there better is if it had been sitting in the refrigerator all day. Nothing wrong with that at all. Absolutely delicious. All right, now let's try our treasure chest pollinator here. Now, if you buy seedless watermelon seeds online from a place like Johnny's where we got ours. They'll send you a variety called Ace to use as a pollinator. Can't eat Ace watermelons. I guess you could eat them, but you don't want to eat them. So we always ditch the Ace and plant our own pollinator so we can eat the pollinator and the seedless watermelon. This one here has got some seeds in it, but not a whole lot of seeds. It's got to be good the way it popped open like that earlier. Maybe not quite as sweet as that seedless one is, but ain't nothing wrong with that right now. So I'm gonna go inside, wake Titus up from his afternoon nap, and share the other half of this with him. I know he'll be excited about it. He's been asking about them. He's been craving one just about as much as I have. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Don't forget to check out our affiliate links and coupon codes in the description below. Also go check out our website, lazydogfarm.com. And if you're interested in trying growing seedless watermelons for yourself, definitely need to check out this video right here. The hardest part is getting them to germinate. We break down all the tips and tricks in this video so you can be successful. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.